Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for August 28th, Sunday, 2022, a little after 3 p.m. Eastern. It's fascinating that people plan their vacations with better care than they plan their lives. Perhaps it's because escape is easier than change. Jim Rohn. One of the most powerful things that we can do to start manifesting an amazing life that we absolutely love is breaking free from the limitations of what our minds believe is possible. Our minds have been conditioned throughout our entire lives to think that we can do this and that, and we can't do that. It swims in circles of a small fishbowl of ideas and doesn't realize there is an entire ocean available to play in. And to find out what our limitations are, simply sit down and start creating your ultimate fantasy day. When you dive into developing your greatest fantasy, you begin liberating the mind from its imaginary prison. You will see that when your mind is free, your heart will expand into a higher dimension, which instantly gives your life an amazing new direction and purpose. Perhaps the best part about this exercise is that by writing it down on paper, you'll know exactly when your dream day has actually arrived. The secret to this magical assignment is being absolutely wild and free with it. Write down only what your heart truly desires to do, be, and have manifested. Now, of course, the ego mind will try to make you feel funny or this is silly and it won't work. But you move on. This is an opportunity to invent the most incredible 24-hour movie-like dream experience where you are the main director, producer, and superstar of your show. Anything is possible in your ultimate dream day. It's all about going beyond your mind's limitations of what you think is possible and stepping into what you think is impossible. This leap of faith will lighten your being and heighten your imagination, allowing you to transcend any inner imaginary blocks which have been stopping you from growing, transcending, and succeeding in your actual real life. It's too often that our practical, down-to-earth adult mindset tries to get in the way of truly enjoying this life. If this horrendous experience starts happening to you, immediately stop being so serious and start pretending as if you were a child again. Imagine you're 6 years old and you have no idea as to what's right or wrong, practical or possible in this world. Take off the ceiling from your normal everyday consciousness this week and let your inner child soar. You might see that this exercise is a test which will determine how high your inner fun meter can rise and how much joy you can allow your heart to experience. When we let ourselves expand our imaginations beyond their ordinary limits, we tap into the divine creativity inside of us, which will cause our real lives to become fully, truly unstoppable. As far as manifesting is concerned, it's best to create your ultimate fantasy day in the past tense. Write it down in the first person as if you were telling your best friend about what just happened to you yesterday. This allows your mind to relax about having to make it happen tomorrow and lets you feel as if it is already a done deal. Your deeper subconscious mind is going to be put to work here, which doesn't take notice that the story is in the future or past. This deeper mind is what's responsible for manifesting future experiences to you, which are based on the deepest, most emotionally charged visions that you've had thus far. When the subconscious mind gets imprinted with new material that contains overjoyous feelings of having your toes in the warm, soft sand on a beautiful beach, it sends that signal out into the universe, which will one day bring that beach experience physically to you, like attracts like. So when you're bursting with elation and jubilation, you have suddenly become a super manifesting joy magnet. When designing our dream day, it is important to be sure to include all the little juicy details that you can summon. Write down everything you can think of that could make your heart open. Liberate your mind and allow your soul to bring hallelujah and absolute bliss. Describe all the details you can with vibrant color and paint them with pure enthusiasm. What was the funniest thing you did that day? What was the greatest feeling you had? Who did you spend most of your time with and where? How did other people greet you and how did you interact with them? And remember, this is the greatest day of your life. So whatever you do, don't hold back. This is where some people miss the mark. If you don't believe you deserve a certain outrageous desire to occur, then you're not giving yourself the chance to expand your consciousness and entertain your deepest, dreamiest fantasy day. This universe is an infinite playground here. So, play in it. You've just been given an unlimited amount of energy, resources, creativity to work with. The essential secret is in knowing exactly what your heart is seeking to experience on the inside. How to begin? Before you start writing, you'll want to literally jump up and down as long as you can and yell, "Yeehaw! I'm so excited." This will help those extreme joy juices start flowing in your brain. Keep jumping until you receive a vision of what will bring you tremendous joy in your future. Then sit down in a quiet space, or with your favorite song blasting on the stereo, and begin writing it down as if it happened in the last 24 hours. Include exactly what happened from the moment you woke up in the morning, all afternoon, and evening until the morning of the following day. Use all 24 hours and don't waste a minute doing something for somebody else. It's all for you. Even if you decide to visit your favorite charity, it's all about how it makes you feel. When you're writing down your story, tell it as if you were describing it to your best friend, who's truly the world's most amazing listener. Don't leave out any details. Share what you ate for breakfast, what clothes you wore or didn't wear, who you were with, where you went, what you drove or flew, and everything you talked about and experienced along on the way. Give a minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour detailed account of every little thing that occurred. The key is to include the most ridiculously fun and radically awesome details that you can fathom. We challenge you to dream the impossible and visualize outside of your normal box of what has always been exciting and pleasurable for you. If being rich makes your heart sing, you might want to imagine the insane amount of money you made in that one day and what amazing things you did earning and spending that outrageous cash flow. Or perhaps your dream is to spend an evening with your favorite movie star. Well, what if they called you to get together and you flew them out to your exotic mansion in Hawaii and they begged you to stay the night? Wow. Or maybe you just look at your personal Learjet and flew over the Rocky Mountains with your soulmate and landed near a sweet green grassy field for a romantic catered five-star gourmet picnic. Or perhaps your greatest dream is to be completely free from all things and you gave all your money and physical belongings to the homeless and watched their faces light up with sheer joy. Stretch your limits as to what you think will make you happy. And remember that it's okay to experience anything you want. It is your right to have your fantasy. You are the master creative genius here. You are the one who allows yourself to manifest miracles and let your wildest dreams fly. Make sure you engage in all six senses when you describe your ultimate fantasy. The more you can step into this movie and truly see, feel, smell, taste, and experience the sensations with your mind, the faster and easier the universe can work at delivering the end result to you. Use your sixth sense, your gut, to know yourself intimately and feel out what amazing things could possibly happen next. Include the wildest and most crazy pleasurable ideas you can fathom. Just squeeze in as much as you feel could be possible to experience in this 24-hour slice of heaven. Since you have unlimited energy and creativity, you could stay up all night and watch the morning sunrise from the top of the Himalayas. We only give you 24 hours of limited time so that it forces you to prioritize your extensive list of fantasies and focus only on the ones that make your life truly orgasmic. This is about stretching your ability to let go of what's possible on your inner world, so you naturally liberate yourself on every level in your outer world. The essential key secret to making this a life-changing experience is within your ability to feel. While you're physically writing down your dream day, practice stepping into the feeling as if it has really happened. By bridging the gap between illusion and reality, you are attracting your ideal life situation to you faster than you might want to know. There's nothing you could actually do in the physical world that will manifest it faster than feeling as if it has truly already occurred and continuously believing it. So entertain the vision. Dive into these feelings repeatedly until they solidify deep into your body-mind. Now, after you've written down everything you can possibly imagine, take some time to fine-tune your work. Read your description out loud from beginning to end, and notice how you feel when you read it. It's not so important that your grammar is correct or your sentence structure flows. As long as it makes your heart burst with joy while reading, you'll have received an A+. This is the most perfect day of your life in every imaginable way. So keep in mind how you truly want to feel at the very end of it. You might want to build slowly up to the climax or have many throughout the day. The clearer you are about how you want to feel after 24 hours, the easier it is to write down the details of your day's experience. Have fun with this assignment, because by this time tomorrow morning, your body is going to be bubbling in a pool of divine ecstasy. I'd recommend that you the next 7 days, this coming week, do this amazing exercise. And it's recommended that you write a little or a lot every day, since you might have juicier ideas to add on Friday than Monday. You can write it out on your computer, typewriter, or use a pen and paper, whatever feels best for you. Just make sure you can read it. The more often you revisit, reread, and rewrite this dream piece, the more likely it'll become a masterpiece. Don't be afraid to upgrade that old childhood dream you've desired since the first grade with the new one that makes you squirm and giggle just thinking about it. This assignment is all about dropping your inhibitions, limitations, and getting to know yourself on the most intimate levels. Write down only what makes you outrageously excited about this life. Don't fret about how it sounds to anyone. This assignment is for you and you alone. You cannot screw up on this exercise, and there's no wrong fantasy to have or right fantasy you should have. In fact, if you find yourself feeling like you should write down something, then erase it immediately. All shoulds are lower vibrational experiences that will drain you instead of uplift you. So you don't wait another moment. You're pumped up and ready to roll right now. Get out your favorite writing instrument right now and start creating your ultimate fantasy day. This is what you will say to yourself if you choose to do this exercise. You either choose or you don't choose. And deeper inside us, very close to our heart center, exists the divine state of compassion. It is a lightness that instantly destroys all judgment, criticism, and heaviness the moment it is exposed. This all-forgiving, deeply understanding, accepting nature is always here now and available in you. Nothing can take it away, change it, or destroy its source. It is your essential nature that is with you everywhere you go and makes everything in your life flow with grace and effortless ease. Discovering the unlimited source of compassion inside us comes from realizing the spiritual truth of who we are. By knowing that we are an infinite, eternal soul connected to limitless love, intelligence, and creativity, we immediately relax to enter this divine state. Abiding in this awakening knowledge is the only way to effectively handle the outrageous pain we all experience in this life. When we truly know this amazing divinity is what we are, our consciousness skyrockets and we stop creating situations that would have caused us more pain. When we understand that who we are is beyond this world of form and formless, beyond time and timelessness, we transcend the evaluations of the mind and can rest as the source of grace itself. There are as many ways to access this spiritual truth inside us as there are stars in the sky. The moment we find our minds becoming judgmental, critical, or upset about anything is the best moment to practice accessing deeper compassion. The secret here is to take a deep breath, relax deeper into your body, and notice what the mind is overly attached to. Simply watch, breathe, and wait. Notice how these illusionary ideas, desires, and judgments are purely hypothetical mental drama. We can see how they are part of the game of our spiritual awakening and accept them without reacting to them. Every negative experience we have is simply there to lead us deeper into the ultimate compassionate state where our minds, hearts, and bodies are completely aligned and healed. And by understanding there is a divine intelligence behind every experience, the negative feelings we are battling will simply lose their power. Any judgments we have about these negative experiences only inflame and deepen the source of pain and negate the fact that an all-loving, divine intelligence is present. Now, the discovery here is to know everything has a divine purpose and deeper meaning if we are only willing to let it in. Whenever negativity arises inside of us, the key to transcending them is looking towards the source of where these thoughts come from. All of our old repetitive, contracted thoughts were handed down to us from our parents and their parents and their parents. They are not our thoughts, and they actually don't belong to anybody, so nobody is to blame. When we refrain from our over-identifying with our heaviest thoughts, we no longer have power over us, and we liberate ourselves from them. They no longer have power over us, and we liberate ourselves from them. Perhaps the greatest practical secret to unveiling this unlimited source of compassion inside us is a faithful practice in fully accepting ourselves exactly as we are. Compassion naturally arises when we have full acceptance of everything inside us and are remaining curious with those parts we just cannot accept. It's good to know that every aspect of us is acceptable, worthy of being what it is, and even lovable. It really just depends on what perspective we are looking at it from as to how we are seeing it. Even those revengeful, hateful, mean parts deserve love. When we look at the painful wounds they are born from. Having total acceptance is what lays the foundation to opening up our feelings so that we can be sensitive enough to find the infinite wellspring of compassion inside of us all. The most powerful experience of our lives begins with our commitment to accept ourselves just as we are and to remain in a state of curiosity about all the parts we cannot accept. Our wounded and angry parts are there for a reason, and to reject them is to reject ourselves. As we journey inwards, practicing self-acceptance, we will find things which we honestly believe that nobody can accept or tolerate. This is the moment to raise the white flag of surrender, because these parts also need love. Everything comes from the divine, all-intelligent spiritual source, especially those things we believe are very far removed from it. With a persistent curiosity and infinite patience, we will eventually find acceptance inside ourselves. This is the gateway to accessing the state of unlimited compassion with everyone in this world. It takes great courage to choose to accept whatever we discover inside ourselves. Yet the real work is simply being with the unacceptable feeling in its raw form. No matter what the feeling is, try to give it 100% permission to exist exactly as it is, so you can feel and thus know it intimately. The mind is going to try to change or avoid those critical parts inside you deemed as unacceptable and never actually feel them. However, even though this is a great strategy, this is not love. It is only through feeling the wound and having total acceptance of it that we will find the grace of profound healing naturally takes place. Be aware that the mind is very cunning and that it can say it is choosing to accept something that is unacceptable. Yet truly, we are still resisting and rejecting. So it's a journey constantly. And where do we spend our time? We spend our time learning about who and what we are. The difference is out there, we won't. In here, we will. So it's quite interesting how many of us don't know, and how many of us are out there. So you can imagine that the majority of us spend several lifetimes doing this over and over and over again. See? Now, wouldn't it be great, wouldn't it be just absolutely wonderful that we had memory so that we would come into the next life and we would be able to differentiate. We would compare and say, I was doing this in my last life. Why would I do this again? I've gone outside for so long, and yet I haven't really discovered who and what I am. So now in this life, I have committed to go within and stay within throughout this life. You see the difference there? And this coming week on the Wednesday, we will talk about that. It's imperative that we learn this in the now while we're still in these bodies. I don't think any of you want to continually incarnate, right? And then not have memory, and then repeat. And some of us have gotten to the understanding that we really don't care to do that forever. You know, we would much rather experience learning and not repeating. Some of us, you could read a book, right? You read the book and you get something out of it. If you read the book again, you've missed things you find, and then you get something out of it. It's quite interesting. It's just like a movie. You watch the movie. You see things, pick up things. But if you watch the movie again, you'll pick up other things. So, in this life, in all of our lives, we do reruns. So you leave this life, you go into another life, and you basically do repeat several, not everything, but several of the things that you did in the life before that life. So it's kind of like we say, how do we get this right? How do we get it down? The way things are structured right now, we really concentrate, even though it seems like many of us are starting over when we're really not. So we focus, and here's the maneuvering, so to speak. Because we come into a baby body and we don't have much memory of the past life, so we learn all over again. We experience all over again. And it's about becoming awakened. Now, guidance in this would be absolutely phenomenal. It will get there, where there are those on the planet that from the beginning begin to teach others discovery of who and what they are. And see, when you do this from a very early age, it changes everything. Then we understand to be within and instead of being out there all the time. And how many of us follow that same direction? And then we get frustrated, and I don't think any of us are exempt from it. But it isn't like, oh, I'm doomed because, I'm 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, whatever. As long as we're in these bodies, we can shift gears. As long as we're in these bodies, we can shift gears. See, you might say, well, I've done everything, I've gone out there, I've stayed in the pool year after year after year, and it's time for me to go within and to stay within and to discover who and what I am. Because what happens is that when you do that, and you begin to discover, because you will, and you understand that the heart-mind is where you reside, not the head, not the ego, and you will master that. There's no doubt about it. You will master it. It won't be something that never occurs or something that you never master. And then once you begin to discover that you are all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever, see, then you'll shift into understanding that everything you desire is yours. Always has been. It's already there. We kind of go through the practice of manifesting, right? We create. We take energy, we move it into form, we bring it into reality, and we experience it. We're supreme reality. And then we experience it. Now, it doesn't mean that it's Shangri-La all the time, because we create good, bad, and in between. And it doesn't mean that we know we're doing this. Because we don't know. A lot of the times we're unconsciously doing it. And see, this is what happens, is that be aware that the mind is very cunning, and that it can say it is choosing to accept something that is unacceptable. Yet truthfully, you are still resisting and rejecting it. And acceptance is not something we can force. It naturally arises on its own. And when the unacceptable feeling has been fully felt and emotionally processed, this is why curiosity is needed. With enough patience and curiosity, in time, we will eventually find peace with every part inside of us. When we live from this place of childlike curiosity with ourselves, we will naturally be compassionate without even trying, and everything will flow through our lives with joy and ease. Now, to discover our ultimate state of compassion in this now, we must choose to first take responsibility for any limiting roles we've been playing in our lives. If we were an actor or actress on the stage of our life, what has our character been challenged by? What types of difficult conversations, feelings, and circumstances did we choose to play out with others? What if transcending this pattern was our life's mission? What if our every response we had from here on out was a compassionate response no matter what occurred? When our awareness reaches beyond the roles we've been trapped in, then we can transcend them and make our entire life a divinely playful play. The game of this life is one of many great illusions where we've each signed up, so to speak, committed, agreed, decided, up to act out a variety of roles on this stage. These roles are not who we really are. They are simply unconscious roles we are still acting out. And when we are fully conscious of the roles that we are playing, and we realize that we can play any role at any time, then we have mastered the entire play. However, in order to pass the final exam in this great theatrical school of mirrors, we must choose to know how to play the opposite role that we've been so used to playing. And we must choose to master both sides so we can drop all the roles. And from this state, we transcend duality and are free from any heavy or light role our egos are habitually caught in. And if and when you find yourself playing the victim game, and you're constantly caught in the role of blaming yourself, the other, and then needing to be forgiven, you are simply not playing the empowered, compassionate role. You may then need to retake the test several times if you wish to ascend to the higher levels of education and truly get it right. It's a very challenging exam because when the ego is in charge, the opposite role can seem very wrong, may even threaten our survival in this world, and the consequences appear very real. Yet the truth is that all suffering is purely an illusion created by the mind. And when we release our attachment to playing any particular role, then we are free. When we realize we are the actor, the writer of the play, the audience, and the backstage technicians, we have mastered the play of life. When we understand that we are both pure consciousness and the limited ego mind, we've passed the test and will soon discover the absolute source of compassion within. This learning allows us to deeply enjoy every living experience of this life. We know that the divine reality is here now, yet we cannot always see it because it's much, much, much deeper than any single belief or thought. We cannot find reality with the mind, so we must surrender to a state of mindlessness, timelessness, or mindfulness, and be in no mind, When we have found no mind, we have found God, and this natural compassion is forever present. So simply surrender to reality deeply. Let go of your past and letting in the love. There's nothing more simple and effortless to attain. Compassion will come beckoning at your feet. If you feel blocked and simply cannot find an ounce of compassion for yourself or others, imagine who is the most compassionate, loving person that you know. Invite them into the room and imagine stepping into their body. Taste a feeling of what it may be like to become this higher compassionate being. Try this just for a few minutes each day. You will soon discover a lightness growing inside you. Whenever you feel it, abide in it for as long as you can. Use the breath as a way to remain connected to this feeling. This bridges a deeper soul connection within yourself and opens the compassion gates for you to share this divine state with the people you connect with throughout your day. One big step to take is to have compassion for your life with all its karma and issues that you have had to face. These tough experiences may not seem like the perfect life you asked for, yet each situation is created for your soul's greatest awakening. All the lessons we will receive in this lifetime, we have most likely already forgotten that we asked for them. That is why they are coming our way. Everything is predestined in this life. And by realizing that you merge with its flow, understand what you are to learn from it, and can have compassion for any situation you find in yourself. Most of the time we resist. We resist a lot of things. And what we resist will persist. And our thoughts are the boomerangs. Have you ever, I think we've all done this, right? Where you've continuously sent out a strong emotional thought of, I really don't want XYZ to happen, right? And somehow, we only attract that thing or situation into our life. Because whenever anybody does that, you ever notice that it's when really, it comes from the heart. I really don't want XYZ to happen. And then we attract it, the situation into our lives. Why is this? If we are truly super powerful, highly intelligent, manifesting beings, why do we create something that we do not want to occur? We don't care to have it occur. Now, there may be a variety of explanations for this, but the most foundational reason is that whatever we resist, we will persist. It is a paradoxical world we live in, and the key to transcending it is embracing the totality of existence, which means resisting nothing in this universe. Resisting nothing in this universe. This is the only way to master our lives. And it's like starting today with finding peace with what you cannot. Anytime any of us throw up an energetic or emotional wall to start resisting something, whether it's a thought, feeling, memory, or that person standing in front of you, you will find that your mind is fiercely focusing upon the negative aspects of what you don't want instead of the positive possibilities of what you do want. Vibrationally, we are all like magnets and only attract that which we continuously focus upon with great emotion. And the key is great emotion. So, if we can stop focusing upon something, we will stop resisting it and thus stop manifesting it. To control the mind takes great awareness, patience, and love. It also takes knowing your true divine infinite nature that fears absolutely nothing. For as divine beings, we've all set it up so that every little thing that we focus on grows, expands, and returns to us naturally like a boomerang. We cannot get rid of our inherent manifesting magnet nature. If we could choose somehow to train our minds to obsessively resist feelings of joy, love, abundance, and gratitude, it'd be a roundabout way. Yet we'd soon start finding those qualities showing up all throughout our lives. It's good to know that all resistance comes from fear of something else. If and when we can discover what we're truly afraid of and welcome it with open arms, then all resistance to life will dissolve instantly. When we no longer resist that one person that we know, the one who always triggers us, we have just found a new way to love and appreciate them. It all happens the moment we see how everything is connected to the divine. It's easy to resist. It's easy to resist nothing when all we see is God. When we realize that everyone also has this divine infinite nature, you have no other choice than acceptance. The day you have no resistance to the understanding that everyone, even Hitler, is a divine being connected to the God source, you'll have truly transcended all future suffering. The experience of total fear and being lost in love are the two greatest resistances we have, since going completely into either one would absolutely obliterate our ego. Perhaps you notice this resistance habit in your love life or your family relationships. You might have discovered that when you start thinking something is wrong about somebody or believe that they should be different, your body contracts and goes into resistance mode. This internal rejection of life is a ridiculous attempt to protect the ego so that it can remain in illusionary control of its agenda and remain in complete ignorance of your divine infinite nature. It's good to know that all of your problems in this lifetime are going to be created out of this simple resistance to your innate divinity. Once we stop resisting the infinite God source within us all, we will understand the role the ego had to play in order to trick us into discovering our true nature. You see, the ego was never real in the first place. It was just a shadow created from our mind, standing in the way of our infinite light. As with any shadow, we realize that the closer we get to it, the easier it is to see that there is nothing actually there. Now, this may be a frightening discovery to realize that we don't actually exist at all. And when our mind ego is no longer running the show, we will be living in bliss 24 hours a day. Don't you think it's time that we've transcended this intricate weave of limiting beliefs which have been blocking the brilliant light of our infinite beings for far too long? As long as we are identified with our ego, we will continue to react with resistance to people, situations, and conditions that have triggered us since childhood. For example, if someone teases you and makes fun of you in front of all your friends, it's good to remember that nobody is under attack. How can you attack a shadow? Why would a shadow need to feel victimized, blamed, or fight back if it's not even real to begin with? All of our problems arise from this over-identification with this shadow self. Always remember, it's the only thing that is not real. Your name, body, thoughts, feelings, and overall identity have absolutely nothing to do with you and with who you truly are. This is a fragmented false self, and it is a figment of our mind's imagination and will always pale in comparison to the all-creative, vast resource of our limitless being. The ego will always be a juicy interpretation about who we think we are. Yet it is light leagues away from the infinite truth of our being. The day we anchor in this knowledge of who we are and what our ego is, it will become the first day of our lives that we are not blind, yet can actually see. The great wall blocking every human being from being their divine nature is the same. It's that barricade of beliefs which have accumulated around the mind from past programming. All the memories, ideologies, and rules about life which we've created for ourselves growing up can often behave like waves in the ocean created years ago, and yet are still continuously arriving at our shore. These unconscious reactions attempt to resurface each day until we've sailed through the core of each one with a laser-like awareness and have seen it for what it actually is, a thought. Yet be careful, these waves can be dangerous because they just might throw you into an emotional tide pool swirling around Drama Island for the next 30 lifetimes. With such a devastating effect always at hand, our past conditioning must have a positive role to play as well. It is always there, forcing our awareness to remain super alert and conscious so we are enjoying each new moment. It'll keep you sane to know that your soul signed up or committed or agreed or decided for this experience of body-mind programming so that one day we would be forced into mastering our minds. When it comes down to whatever we resist will persist, the mind is already the greatest master of this. The mind will do everything to not follow your lead. until it realizes that you no longer are going to participate in its games. This new relationship with the mind can be formed by diving into those places in your body that are still holding on to resistance and tension. Our bodies are like a graveyard of past experiences that are still resisting certain memories, people from the past, or aspects of our lives. Our bodies are designed to hold on to a specific physical tension until the memory associated with it is cleared. For example, if your shoulders tense up each time you think about a certain person or situation at work, you'll want to ask your shoulders, as if they could talk, what specific memory are they holding tightly onto? And when you stop and ask certain parts of your body what they are really holding on to, it becomes a type of archaeological expedition where you get to discover all the most interesting artifacts inside. Who knew the exploration of resistance could be so exciting? You can transform any physical pain or issue your body is having by simply going into the experience, exploring what the memory is, and releasing it from your body with your breath. Your breath is always the gateway to healing. If it's a big trauma lodged in your body for years, you may first need to spend more time than usual to feel it deeply so you can release it completely. You'll know it's gone from your cells when you can regurgitate the memory and nothing shows up in your body. The discovery is feeling your greatest fear that is hiding underneath your resistance to the fear. I know this sounds complex, yet do not stop when you hit resistance to feeling past trauma inside. Dive into the memory, explore the thoughts and feelings around it several times, go deeper than it, and go through it with the power of surrender. And eventually, all of us will find that underneath it all is the presence of our eternal being. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out.